Hello, sinners, hellborns, and fallen angels alike. Doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, but I'm trying it out. Welcome to the Hazbin Hotel Season 2 craze, complete with random predictions and general tomfoolery.
What now?
I've really been wanting to make a video with my predictions for this belovedly bizarre show, but there was a tiny problem. By the time I got through all the characters, the video was aiming to be around 40 minutes long. Suffice it to say, I have way too many thoughts to keep them condensed to one video, so we're going a few characters at a time, starting with the majorly significant and, as Alastor would put it,
entertaining
characters of the Vees. We already know that Season 2 will feature the Vees as the main antagonists and give us a glimpse into Alastor's backstory, among other things. So whether you're an Alastor simp, a Vox fan, or just want to hear some potential directions for the upcoming story, let's get into it. With this season focusing on both the Vees and Alastor, I think we can safely assume we'll hear the full story of their fight 7 years ago and get a conclusion to their rivalry. We know that Alastor almost beat Vox last time, but beyond that, why is Vox still alive? Did Alastor spare him? If so, then obviously not out of kindness, but probably because he enjoyed seeing Vox suffer. Did Alastor lose in the end? Did he win but never deal the final blow? Did the owner of his soul possibly stop him? Did the other Vees join in to save Vox? We don't know any of this for sure, but I think that last one is the most likely. It would strengthen Alastor's claim that Vox would be powerless without them and explain why Valentino doesn't feel threatened by him at all, despite the fact that he supposedly broke one of his antennae in this fight. For those of you who haven't seen that particular A. Lamau short, because I know where we get our information from, both Vox and Val have a broken antenna, but background pictures suggest that they didn't arrive in hell like this, and the general consensus is that they broke their antenna during the big fight with Alastor. If that is what happened, Alastor's tactics this time might rely on creating division and conflict amongst the Vees, which, to be fair, they don't really need any help with. Since Velvette is the glue that holds this group together, this naturally leads to the question of what her role will be in Season 2. Some fans have been theorizing that she will join the hotel and help take down Vox and Val, but I disagree, especially with the first part. Maybe it doesn't make sense to say that she's too bad of a person when the entire point of Hazbin is to take morality out of its traditional context, but I just don't think they're going to try and redeem the creator Vedate drug. While I do think that it's possible Velvette will become a temporary ally of the hotel to get revenge on the other two Vees if they end up betraying her, I can't help but think, why would they do that? They would be lost without her. If Alastor is the definition of professionals have standards, then Velvette is the definition of actually giving a fuck. She's the only one of the Vees who takes her work even halfway seriously and seems more mature than the other two. Granted, the bar is low, none of them are mature, but hey, she figured out that Carmelo was hiding something in that meeting room and understood exactly how to tick off this usually level-headed overlord. You just know neither of her colleagues would have been able to do that. Valentino would have been too busy making sex jokes. Vox would have been too busy trying to one-up Alastor. Velvette has the behavior and mannerisms of a rebellious young teen, whereas Vox and Valentino act like children. It's more obvious with Valentino, watching him throw his little 5-year-old temper tantrums whenever something goes wrong, with Vox appearing more composed and logical by comparison. But the second something happens that gets under Vox's skin, like Alastor's return, he becomes this wildly insecure, bad liar in a desperate attempt to win against a guy who couldn't give less of a shit about him. Between keeping these man babies from killing each other and having to deal with Vox's cringe, one-sided obsession with their rival, that seems to be hurting their business more than anything else. Velvette's got her work cut out for her in Season 2. It almost feels like they're more of a burden to her than anything else. Wait a minute. In The Show Must Go On, Velvette is curiously absent from most of the Vees singing portion. She doesn't sing at all, and spends most of her presence recording Static Moth talking about how evil they are on her phone. She only joins them at the very end, and this is part of why some suspect that the boys are going to betray her. But look at her face here, as she glances between them, looking almost like she's planning something. Now moving on to Alastor. In Season 1, Alastor doesn't give two shits about Vox and obliterates him effortlessly, but in order for Vox to be the main antagonist this time around, I think we can safely assume he'll be more of a threat.
You're either with me, or against me.
Hell will rise!
Speaking of, is Lucifer hypnotized here? Not necessarily, but it would make total sense if he was. What you need to remember is that Vox and the other Vees represent the media. Media narratives, propaganda, and misinformation as tools for power are all important themes this season. And yes, some of this is hitting a little too close right now, but we are just going to use this accidentally perfect mistake to have some amount of catharsis over the situation and move on, okay? Okay. I agree that it would make Vox way overpowered if he could just walk up to Lucifer and hypnotize him the way he can with regular-ass sinners. But if he could get what he wanted just by walking up to people and telling them what to do, then he wouldn't need to create this whole thing where he copycats Lilith and is suddenly terrifying now. In some old live streams, you can check the description, Vivian Adrano has mentioned that angels like Lucifer have more innate power, but demons use manipulation to gain their own power, and that's how they cheat the system. Which is what Vox is doing right now. It actually makes total sense for Vox to be able to hypnotize somebody no matter how powerful they are, because anyone can be influenced by the media. And of course, using Lilith's image and reputation of all things is a great way to get in Lucifer's head. Now, this could just be his demonic form, or he could be pretending to be hypnotized, as some people have been theorizing, but it would make a lot more sense than many people realize for him to actually be hypnotized. And is it just me, or does this shot of Lucifer look really similar to this shot of Adam from season 1, right before Adam fought Alastor? VIVZIE Bop, what are you playing at? Anyways, back on topic. When I was putting together my Hazbin Hotel swear count video, I came across a moment from Stayed Gone that stuck with me ever since. When Vox gets pissed at Alastor and starts glitching, we can see a message appear on his screen for a brief moment. It's basically akin to those messages that appear on your TV and tell you to try rebooting and call your service provider if the problem persists, with occasional spurts of "fuck you, Alastor" in the mix. However, there's something off about it. Let's read it directly. A problem has been detected and Vox has been shut down to prevent damage to his system. The problem seems to be caused by the following file: Alastor.exe. Vox.exe crash. God, eat shit, Alastor. Check to make sure all fucking 1930s lagging ass hardware and software is up to date and properly installed. Ask Vox for any Vox Tech updates you might need. If problems continue, fuck you, Alastor. Disable or remove any Alastors from the general vicinity. If you need to use unsafe mode, reset your Vox Tech device. Press F5 and select Advanced Startup Options, then select Unsafe Mode. Technical information: stop Alastor.exe. Old tiny prick radio. The message basically goes, if you can't get rid of Alastor, turn on Unsafe Mode. And maybe I'm stupid, but Unsafe Mode doesn't sound like a normal name for a TV setting. Vox is essentially saying that he's going to try and get rid of Alastor by making him feel unsafe. Points for vagueness, I know. But this at least confirms that Vox is going to try and exploit Alastor's need for control, which is how he feels safe. It wouldn't be that hard considering he has footage of Alastor getting his ass kicked during the final battle. And we'll see how Alastor reacts to losing that control. My guess is he'll try to make himself feared, reminding his listeners and anyone else within a 100-mile radius of all the horrifying things he can, has, and will do to those who challenge him. So basically, his scene with Husk 2.0. But this might not just apply to his listeners. Once Alastor's life drama starts to take a toll on him, he'll possibly start to get more sinister than he used to be towards Charlie and everyone else. Between his own desperation and Vox's ego jabs, he'll drop the jolliness to assert his authority and stay feared, and this is going to cause problems for the guests. Al has always been a little off-putting and has never hidden how terrifying he can be, but my theory is that when shit hits the fan this season, he overcompensates for the loss of control by taking out his dangerous tendencies on the people in the hotel. Maybe because they are the closest that anyone has ever gotten to seeing his vulnerability, and that scares him. Plus, Alastor may very well try to destroy Vox by sowing seeds of doubt into his circle and possibly causing or contributing to Velvette's betrayal. But his own plans could also be used against him. I don't think anyone in the hotel would betray him outright, but they'll probably become more wary of him, and Alastor will be faced with the fact that he can no longer manipulate them in the way that he hoped, because they're all coming to see his ugly underbelly. Not literally, you weirdos. Or all but one. It's my personal theory that Nifty was the one who patched up his injuries in the finale, seeing as she is the only member of the cast who isn't surprised to see him alive. Vivian Madrano confirmed that the other characters, like Charlie, technically knew he wasn't dead, but they might have assumed he abandoned the hotel when he realized how dangerous the battle with Heaven would be. Nifty's lack of surprise indicates that she either already knew she would see him because she took care of his injuries, or that she trusts him so much that she fully expected him to come back. Or, that she just doesn't know what's happening. But let's stick with the first two. I really want to see more of their friendship, but I don't think it's just going to be touchy-feely with a side order of creepy. I think Alastor genuinely loves and cares about Nifty, but if she becomes the only one who still trusts him, that also makes her someone he can use in his rivalry with the world's most obsessive TV. Alastor generally doesn't care about Vox's stalking because he feels fully in control there and enjoys pissing him off by smiling into random cameras and accidentally recreating the no bitches meme. That was a sentence. However, if Vox does start to get the better of him, his reaction may change. And while most of the characters in the hotel act normally around cameras, and therefore are sensitive to divulging information about Al just by existing outside of the hotel, one little bug is exempt from this. It's unclear why Nifty acts the way she does around cameras, though there are a couple of theories about it, but if she is the only one who can't jeopardize his reputation through Vox's shenanigans, Alastor may try to use her as a shield in some way. And if you add that to the fact that Vox already seems to know something about Nifty, well... You guys remember that moment from The Show Must Go On when Katie Killjoy calls Adam a totally fuckable bad boy and Vox grins like this? He's also bleeding from his mouth, which if you don't know is a recurring thing that happens to Lucifer, Alastor, and Vox whenever they get too excited. Given Vox's reaction to seeing Adam fight, I wouldn't put it past him to be smiling for that reason, but a second later, in the next shot, who should appear on screen but Nifty? The way this moment is put together, you don't think about it too much, because again, it's easy to dismiss as Vox just being horny, but he could have very well been smiling because of Nifty. And yes, in context, it's much more likely that he was hard earlier because of Alastor, not Adam. Alastor is not mentioned in this little news segment, by the way. When the Vees watch Nifty stab fuckboy over here, they're shocked. It's unclear if they know her outside of Vox's spying and that one time at the club, but Vox seems happy to witness this. It's like he already knows her, and knows that he can use her to further his own goals. On a more personal take, while I do think Alastor is eventually going to have to choose between the bonds he's formed with the rest of the gang and his own freedom, it's almost the build-up that intrigues me more. He might not even have to make that decision until seasons 3 or 4. Instead, season 2 might focus on the big reveal of who owns his soul and what his life and backstory actually look like from his point of view. It's pretty safe to assume that our main antagonists, Vox and his colleagues, do not own his soul, so he might not be going head-to-head with that person just yet. Maybe I'm wrong and the owner of his soul is actually a main antagonist but just hasn't been revealed as such. All the same, as much as I'm itching to see what makes Alastor tick, a slow burn with him would be awesome. And fitting for a character who has been near and dear to the hearts of Vivian Medrano and the fans alike for so long. Personally, I don't think I would even like to see him go in a full-on good guy direction, or even try to get redeemed. I hope he undergoes character development where he can admit that he cares about the crew and fight earnestly for Charlie, but I don't think his sadistic, bloodthirsty nature will ever fully go away. He just wouldn't feel like the same character if it did. He might instead turn into more of a the ends justify the means kind of guy. He does have a moral code after all. From this angle, he could protect the hotel from harm and take care of problems nobody else can, maybe in a more gory way than necessary, and still reveling in that violence. But ultimately, his larger motivations being to help those in the hotel, no longer taking pleasure in their suffering or manipulating them. That's the direction I would most like to see, but we'll just have to wait and find out what VIVZIE Pop has in store for us. For now, I'm just excited to see the story through his eyes and get some insights into how he sees the other characters like Nifty or Charlie. And I suppose that wraps it up. Thank you all for watching, and let me know your thoughts down below. Will Velvette betray the other Vees? How is the conflict between Vox and Alastor going to play out, and will Nifty be involved? Where do you hope Alastor's character development goes by the end of the season? Hope you enjoyed. See ya, sinners.